What is going on, folk? My name is NimbleThor, and welcome back to my mobile gaming quest, where today we're gonna play and talk about Dragon Raya, which is now out globally on both Android and on iOS. And this game has probably been the most highly anticipated MMORPG release of 2020 so far, and for good reason, I might add. The game is based on the incredibly popular South Korean fantasy novel of the same name, and it's also a follow-up to the PC MMORPG Dragon Raya Online, which released all the way back in 2000, so 20 years ago at this point. Now, the mobile version of Dragon Raya is a bit of a beast, by the way, and it will take up a whopping 5.26 gigabyte of space on your phone, which also makes it the largest mobile game that I've played till date. So the million-dollar question, of course, is what is all the fuss about with this game? Is it actually fun to play? Is it pay to win? Is it everything we would expect from a mobile MMORPG in 2020? And those are the questions we'll try to answer today while we play with my level 44 Gunslinger, which is essentially an archery class. And talking about classes, that is of course the first decision you have to make in this game. There are 4 different classes to pick between. You can play as a Blade Master, which is your typical warrior tank class. Then there's the Gunslinger, which is the one I'm playing as, essentially an archery class. Then there's an Assassin, which is a high DPS mage class. And then there's a Soul Dancer, which is called an assist mage class. So I'm guessing that's pretty much like a bard or maybe a cleric from a typical fantasy MMORPG game. So once you pick one of those, you go through a pretty hefty character customization screen where we can customize literally everything about the look of our character, and then we start playing the game's very story-driven introduction. And then eventually, once we're done with that, we're let loose in this huge open world filled with quests. And when I say filled with quests, I literally mean filled with quests. There's so many quests in this game. The cool thing, though, is that we actually earn character attributes based on the decisions we're sometimes forced to make during these quests. Now, it doesn't really seem like those really heavily influence your character later on, but it is a nice little addition to make decision-making feel more meaningful in the game. Now, the questline itself is actually very well written as well, and it really caught my attention at several places throughout. And this is especially true when you compare the game to your typical average MMORPG that have very, very bad quests and quest descriptions. But if you get tired of quests, though, we do have the option to tap up here in the top left corner of the screen. There's this tiny little button. It's almost impossible to see, but it's called Train. And we can tap up here, and then we can see different level range areas that we can go into. So, for example, we can go into the Siberian Forest here, which is a level 40 to 49 training area. And we can simply tap this Enter button to enter it. And then we can fight monsters, grind monsters manually through the manual combat system, or automatically by turning on auto combat. So, for example, right now we're using the auto combat system and it works perfectly fine. But for the most part, though, we're just kind of completing quests to level up. Those quests and the eventual events that we're going to get into later in this video, so stay tuned for that. They seem to be the fastest way to earn XP and gold, at least so far. So we teleported in here to this grinding area mostly so that I could show you guys how combat actually looks like. But we're teleporting out of here again very soon to go back and do some more quests, because that is, as I said, the fastest way to level up in this game. But let's turn off the auto combat system, though, and let's talk a bit about how the combat system actually works. So we have our normal attack, our primary attack, and we use this one and one other ability called Wind Shot to earn energy. And now we then use energy to trigger other abilities, like, for example, this one here, which is a pretty cool particle cannon. Look at that. It deals a ton of damage over time. And that is basically how the combat system works. You guys can see around the main trigger button, there's this bar that fills up. And when I trigger this ability here, it should fill up some more even. It fills up with this yellow-orange bar. And then once it's fully filled up, we can start using abilities. And we can actually use the abilities way before it's fully filled up. But you get the point. We fill that one up by using normal attacks and then this one special ability. And then we use other abilities to deplete the energy. And then we go back and forth like that. And that's basically how the combat system works. We automatically lock on targets, by the way, and we can of course change how this works in the settings, but the standard setting is what you see here, which means we simply smash these ability buttons in the bottom right corner of the screen to attack and to defeat enemies. We do also have a pretty cool dodge button, by the way. Let me just turn off the auto system again and show you guys how that looks. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. There we go. That's pretty cool. But in my experience so far, you won't really be using that dodge button except when you're fighting huge bosses. And we also have a jumping option, which I'm not really sure why we even have either, because that one hasn't really come in handy either so far. Now, if we get tired of attacking manually, we can turn on the auto system, which is what I'm using right now, and we can just kind of leave our phone fighting here. And that would, of course, be an absolutely okay way to level up automatically. So you could basically go AFK and you would still level up at least a tiny bit. But again, this is really not the fastest way to optimize the amount of XP you'll be earning. But that's basically the combat system, but there are many other systems in Dragon Raya apart from just combat though, which is, I guess, a big part of this game's main appeal. For example, we've got this system that's called the ally system. And these allies will help us during combat by triggering special abilities as well. You can see some of them on the screen right now. There's a tier 2 one here that we haven't unlocked just yet. And we can recruit more of these NPC allies through almost a gacha-like unlocking system where we tap this button here, and then we wait a sec, and we're gonna get a random new hero. Let's look at what we're gonna get. Probably a 3-star one. Yes, there we go. Susie, a 3-star hero, and we can pay to re-roll her, or we can just confirm. I'm just gonna confirm right now. And then we can choose to replace her with the hero that we were using before, if we think that her ultimate skill, for example, is more beneficial for us. And the abilities of these NPC range from typically something that deals a lot of damage, or maybe even something that can recover some HP for us. We've also got transportation vehicles, which is another big system in this game, and these are really just the vehicles we'll be using when we have to run large distances in this game. For example, right now we're using this blue aviation glider, which I think is really cool. We've also got the standard Phoenix motorcycle over here, which is the standard one you start out with, or even this Back to the Future inspired hoverboard, which I'm really looking forward to unlocking hopefully pretty soon. And these are all pretty cool. There's a ton of them. You can see some of them are a bit more out there than others. And like this one, for example, the Market Queen. They should have called this one the Walmart Queen, right? That's a missed opportunity. Probably some IP infringement if they did so. Oh, look at this one. That's a very, very pink whale. Now, we can actually go in and we can change the colors. Oh, there's a quest starting here. But we could go in and change the colors of these transportation vehicles if we want to. So this is almost like a cosmetic customization screen. And that's pretty cool. And that just goes for a lot of things in this game. It just looks so cool. The graphics are fantastic. It's some of the best I've seen so far in mobile, and especially in an MMORPG. Typically, you know, large worlds, games with large worlds, have to constrain themselves a bit in terms of the graphical fidelity they can push through. Otherwise, the games are going to take up a lot of space. But I guess with Dragon Raya, they just thought, hey, you know what? We're going to take up a lot of space on your guys' phone, but in return, though, we're going to make the game look freaking amazing. But it doesn't stop at the graphics, though. The English voiceovers are actually not bad either. I guess you guys didn't expect I would say that, huh? You know, typically in these Asian or South Korean mobile games, we have very bad English voiceovers. That's just the way it is. I guess they are hiring the wrong people. But in this case, it actually very positively surprised me. It's not horrible to listen to. So overall, this is a very high quality game. Everything from the music to the voiceover to the graphics looks amazing. There's really no doubt about that. But moving on, we've also got a career option. And now this is where it starts to get really interesting, because this I haven't seen in any other mobile game. And through this system, you can choose to, for example, become a chef. If that's what you want to become, you can choose to become a superstar, which is what I'm currently aspiring to become in this game. So right now, I'm trying to become ready for some auditions somewhere. I'm not really sure where, but we have to learn to sing, dance, and even do makeup, apparently. And all of that with the ultimate goal of becoming an international star at the end of this game, I guess. And I bring up a feature like this career system because I really didn't expect to see that in this game. It's almost a Sims-like feature, which is really interesting if you're the type of player who enjoys that, and certainly not something I expected from a mobile MMORPG. Now, the game also seems to focus heavily on cosmetics just in general. So we've got this whole wardrobe system where we can change our outfits. We've got 4 outfits unlocked so far. Well, I guess technically 4, but that's if you count this starting out outfit, which is barely any outfit at all. Then we've got this one here, the Dreamy Aurora. We've got the Star of Cassell clothes, and we've got the latest one, the Glazed Winds. And all of these have been unlocked through quests. But of course, it doesn't stop there. We've also got haircuts where we can, of course, choose to customize our character even further. And some of these are unlocked through quests. Some of them are given through login rewards. Some of them can even be bought through the game's monetization system, so essentially through a cash shop. And it's not like I'm too surprised about this system. I mean, we've seen this in many games before. Many MMORPGs tend to have a huge focus on cosmetic items. But I feel like Dragon Raya is really trying to take it to the next step. They're trying to up the competition and have a larger focus on everything, it seems. Now, we do, of course, also have a guild system. We've got guild events. We've got a friend system where we can increase our friendship by sending gifts to each other. And I'm laughing a bit here because this is just so typical for Asian MMORPGs. But it's not a horrible system. I mean, it's nice to have some social elements in these games. But it's just fun that it's mostly Asian-inspired MMORPGs that seem to implement such systems. Now, what we're actually waiting for here is for a PvP event to start, which is kind of interesting. So you guys will get to see how that works as well. This is the first time I'm participating with my level 44 gunslinger. Now, in terms of unlocking new gear in Dragon Raya, we seem to primarily get new equipment from NPCs and quests. and then from events. And so far I haven't really found any monsters to drop loot directly. Unfortunately, I like those systems in general, but unfortunately we don't have that here in Dragon Raya. But on the bright side though, when we do get new loot, we can actually transfer the random stats of our old equipment over to our new equipment for just a small amount of gold. So the old gear that we can't use anymore isn't completely useless, which is a really nice system. Oh, right, just to really push through my point and my argument about this game having an incredible amount of content, let's exit this match real quick, and then let's head into our inventory here, because we do, of course we do in this game, have a claw machine system. Just have a look at this. We've got some of these coins for the claw machine here, and then now we can choose to toss a coin, and we're gonna click yes here, and now we can start navigating this claw machine. If this isn't a crazy amount of content, you might call it useless content, but hey, at least it's content, right? If this isn't crazy, I don't know what it's. Let's see if we can get this character here from the claw machine. I think we're gonna drop it. Yeah, we have to be very precise. Just like with real life claw machines, it's you know, it's pretty much a scam, but we can actually get something from these claw machines here. I mean, I have gotten a cosmetic item already. I think it was a new hair equipment or something like that, and we can even change the view here, so we can try to be as precise as possible. Let's go for one more here. I think that was very close, but not close enough. Oh, it was close enough. Look at this, guys. Fingers crossed we're gonna get something cool, something rare. Let's see, what are we gonna get? We got a mystery box. That's interesting. So let's go out here. I guess that ended up in our inventory. Okay, so this is the mystery box. Let's see what we have here. We got a game console, okay? Not really sure what we can use the game console for. It's a Tokyo specialty, it says. Well, when does it come out? Okay, so maybe we can actually sell this one, I guess, or maybe it's just a completely useless item. I didn't really see any options to equip it. But in any case, that is just one more example of the crazy amount of content in this game. And apart from that, this is also the type of game where we get lots of rewards from logging in daily and for staying online long enough as well. In fact, the last reward in this game is earned after being online for 180 minutes in a single day. Yes, that's 3 hours of gameplay, so you better prepare your phone batteries if you really want to dive deep into this game. And talking about rewards, by the way, be sure to enter the pre-registration code from the game's website. By the way, I've pinned that in a comment below. Everyone should be able to get it and use it, even if you didn't pre-register for the game. So if you download the game and you start playing the game, just remember to do that. Now, Dragon Raya seems to be the type of game, by the way, where you're either doing quests or events at all times. As we talked about earlier in this video, you can grind normal monsters on your own, but the rewards from doing so are pretty minimal. So you should actually be spending most of your time on the many events instead. And you can see here from the event screen, if we head up here, that there are many, there's many different types of events that we can head into. There are some of them that focus on solo gameplay, like this one, for example. This is a solo event type, and this one here is also a solo event type, but there are other ones as well that you unlock around level 40 or so, where you can team up with 1 to 5, and in some of them even up to 10 players or 12 players. And some of these events are PvE events, where we fight alone or with a team, so in a co-op style against monsters, like for example a raid, you know, a boss monster somewhere, and others are PvP, like for example the event that you guys saw me playing in just earlier in this video. Now, I don't hate these types of systems, but it's just that personally I prefer open world games where we grind monsters and that rewards us with gold and loot, over games with a heavy focus on instanced events like here in Dragon Raya. But the great advantage of a system focused on events though is that we at least always have something interesting to do, unlike traditional PC MMORPGs, where you'll typically spend a lot of time just sort of mindlessly grinding and killing monsters. And so in that sense, events might keep the game a bit more interesting. So that is pretty much how the game plays, but how does it then monetize? Well, in a few different ways actually. We can buy lots of different things from the item mall shop, like we can buy cosmetics, we can buy gems that increase our core attributes, and even weapons can be bought directly for the game's premium currency, and this inevitably makes the game pay to win, unfortunately. However, we can also sell certain in-game items for premium currency as well, which means that if we grind long enough for those items, we will also be able to buy the same things as a paying player will be able to buy, but just without ever having to pay anything to play the game. So this isn't the worst monetization system I've ever seen in an MMORPG, but it isn't really the best either, especially the part about buying weapons concerns me a bit. In addition to that, we've also got a Battle Pass subscription service called the Dragon Slayer Medal System, and the way this system works is that we complete daily events and we then earn XP for this Battle Pass subscription service. And the base version is completely free, and then there are 2 types of premium versions, one that costs $12 and one that costs $24 per month, by the way, to unlock. And then as we level these Battle Passes up, we earn Slayer medals, which can be exchanged used for example, titles, in-game titles, or potions, or even gems, as well as sometimes premium currency and special supply crates, which can include, for example, cosmetics and so on. So that covers most of Dragon Raya. Or actually, it doesn't quite cover it at all, because there's so many small features that I've just had to skip to avoid turning this video into an hour-long show. This is a freaking huge game, and it might just be one of the most feature-rich MMORPGs on mobile. The graphics look great, the gameplay offers lots of variety in terms of events and quests, and you can easily spend hours on the game every single day, which is at the same time an advantage for players who are looking for a huge MMORPG, and admittedly a bit of a disadvantage for those who were hoping to play just a few minutes per day in a more casual manner. So now let me know what you think about Dragon Raya in the comments down below, and I will then move on to the mobile gaming news of the day, which is that Dead by Daylight is set to launch globally in just a few months for now, both on Android and on iOS, and the game has already soft launched in Denmark actually, so I will be doing a video on that game very soon. I just downloaded it prior to recording this video, and the big appeal of this game is that it promises to be the same game as on PC and console, just slightly tweaked for mobile. So in terms of gameplay, the game is very similar to Identity V, which I covered over a year ago, which means we have 4 survivors fighting against 1 killer in a horror PvP game where the 4 survivors have to attempt to escape, and the killer has to, well, let's call it get rid of the 4 survivors before a timer runs out and the match then ends. Now that was all for today, guys. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if this is the first one you're watching here on the channel, consider subscribing and be sure to leave a like on your way out, because then until next time, just keep gaming, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys around.